One day somebody asks, yo, P, what's the component for success? Is it the way you think, the way that you talk, how you dress? Is it the people you meet, the shit that you learn, who you impress? Is it your line of work and what or how much you invest? I guess. To succeed, you gotta overcome your fears, battle your own greed, conquer your own demons, become unsure, second guess everything you believe in, survive through the suffering to figure out the meaning, and go hard to the moment you bring the cream in. You might lose sleep, but it's gonna feel like you're dreaming. Keep your circle tight, always bring your team in. You need them to hold you down when niggas start scheming. Cause you living life, and while you posting what you purchasing, it's wolves on the horizon, vultures already circling. Get caught lacking, then you the clown, bring the circus in. Want your respect back? Go on, put some work in it. But violence scare the money off, see? I don't work for them. Big corporations like to treat you like you work for them. And you ain't really a boss until you boss some workers, and if you don't do business to get rich, what's your purpose then?
How you feeling? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, bro. I'm feeling good. I mean, I had a conversation just earlier that it's just hard to hear. Damn, I won't say his name on because I don't really want to put him on blast like that. But yeah, I had a very close friend of mine call me from the hospital, and
Right.
it just sucks. And he's a very talented person, really dope musician and all that. And it just sucks. He struggles a lot with his mental health, and it's just tough to get those phone calls.
Oh yeah, I feel that. Hopefully everything be all right with him.
Yeah, I'm hoping. He said something to me that I've had this conversation with him before, and I guess it kind of leads into this pod and this episode. But he said something that so when he started making music, when me and him first linked up years ago, he said when he started making music, he said he was more so kind of imitating artists, and he necessarily didn't have his voice or his sound or his perspective, I guess. I guess on who he was as an artist or creative, only to years later struggle with that and battle with that as an identity, where it's like feeling like he was supposed to be an artist or a musician, but not necessarily that being an actual reflection of who he was. And I've had that conversation with him before, but it's years later now. It's important to know who you are before you jump into anything that's as intense as the music industry, or not even the industry, just being a creative in general, or feeling like your identity is attached to your creativity. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
you could get lost in that. Like you could like feel like you have to be this person, when if that's not who you are, it's okay for that not to be who you are. Just people, reach out to the people who love you, man. If you spiraling now, if you're going through shit, please reach out to your friends, reach out to your family before shit gets worse, because those phone calls are never good, man.
I truly believe that.
What's up though, man?
But yeah, man, what we touching on first?
The Dream is being accused of I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I'm tired of I'm tired of these allegations.
Yeah, they
in hip hop. I'm tired.
Domino effect. It's the domino effect, man. We living in the house of cards right now, so
Yeah,
it's
yes, sir.
inevitable at this point.
Yes, sir. Do you think a lot of it is genuine, or you think a lot of it is a money grab? It's so confusing in this industry, because it could be it's both sides of the coin. You know what I mean?
I think 60-40. I think 60 is, yeah, they really doing this. And then the 40% is, okay, I see everybody else jumping in the lake, so let me jump too. So
yeah.
I see that.
And we're in a time now where it's you can't not believe the victim. You know what I mean? Because we have that Cassie situation was kind of a slap in the face for everybody who was like, oh, she's just doing a money grab. And not just because of that. I'm just talking specifically in this time, in this industry, with what's going on. Because you had there's tons of entertainers that were getting hustled, basically. And then you have a situation as serious as what went on with Cassie and Diddy, and it's like, damn. And it's she was very being very honest and vulnerable, I guess, what was going on with her. Where now we have I think that came out on the Dream. There was somebody else. Can't remember. It was some other artist or
I think
musician. Or whatever.
something with Kanye came out the other day.
Oh yeah, Kanye. Yeah. The Kanye thing. That was a little. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to talk. I want to talk anything about it. The Sean Kingston thing was fucking interesting, man. That dude.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. I heard something about that a couple years ago with his mama.
Yeah. He been out here scamming. He's been out here scamming. Hey, you get what you deserve. Fuck that. That's how I feel at this point. If you and your mama is scamming people, and you guys get caught. I mean, it's Ja Rule and the Fire Festival, man. Everybody can't be Ja Rule. Somebody got to go to jail.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that's remember the G Herbo situation too? He was like doing all these credit card scams and all that. And then he got caught up and then he tried to say, he was saying that it wasn't him, it was like his business partners and he was just making investments or whatever. And it's like, nah, bro, you was you was part of it. But
I heard a little bit about that too.
Yeah, man, that goes to show you, all the artists tuning in, have your business right and have a diversified portfolio when it comes to your income, because the music itself is not always sustainable as far as finances and income goes, and you don't want to be one of these guys out here who are scamming and get caught up scamming and then you look crazy.
Well, man, speaking of brands and business, let's talk about ours, man. Let's talk about ours.
Man. So for those who know me, know that the first brand I started with, the first brand I started building was a company called Autumn House Entertainment, and it was in its inception, it was a multimedia production platform. A multimedia production company. And the goal was to produce the multiple forms of media. And the concept was this house of creatives, right? That's where the house in the name comes. Autumn, besides it being my favorite season, autumn is the season of change. It's it's one of the seasons where you kind of see the lifeline of things, where you can see like a leaf go from bright green to orange to red to brown, then it crumbles and it falls apart. To me, that was a reflection of what storytelling was, right? That's where the name Autumn House comes from. And I wanted to build this company where I had all these different creatives and we did everything in-house and we didn't have to outsource much. I was working this job up in a place called Mary Knowles. I was doing janitor work. And at the time I was reading, Think and Grow Rich?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a line in that book where he wrote, when you cross the bridge, you have to burn it so that you have no opportunity to turn back. Right. And that, when I read that, I was like, oh man, it really, really hit me. So I quit my job. I quit my job and I was like, all right, I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to figure this out. And essentially I had another business idea I was working on before that. But then artists that we ended up, that we still work with, Taylor Moore, she came to me with this project that she had wrote, this EP, R&B EP called With Love. She told me she wanted to produce it and put it out. She came to me because I was heavily in music and making music and just had a big network within the music industry. At that point, at a more underground level, I kind of sped up the process on Autumn House so that we could take on that project. And that was kind of the birth of it. I really just reached out to all my friends. I reached out to all the people around me who were creatives, who I knew were musicians, who even wanted to, maybe to my experience with them, want to pursue a career in the music industry. And I was like, hey, I'm doing this company. I could use, I need some help. So I brought along Biko, who's a big part of the entire structure and what manifested with Autumn House. Now we have Be Free Studios in Brooklyn. There was Leo, who's the co-owner of the company, and that was kind of it. And Taylor Moore actually doubled as a photographer as well in the company. Then artist-wise, she was also an artist. Then we had Elijah Rhodes. Then we had Stevie Q. Who else did we have? That was kind of it. We when I was trying to build a roster as far as it, but it just started with Taylor Moore. Elijah Rhodes didn't come till till months later, and then we took him on as the flagship artist. Yeah, that was kind of it. The beginning of it, what Autumn House Entertainment did, that With Love project, Taylor Moore's first EP, I developed this curriculum kind of how to put out projects, right? So it was like I brought in this whole team of creatives, and we would be in the studio, and then we would just kind of carve out the records, give input, what we thought worked, what didn't work, and we would build the records like that. And then for every record we did, we would do photo shoots. I started filming the music videos. I did all the branding. I did all the brand identity. So it's like Taylor Moore's brand. I would focus on what to highlight with her as a brand. And then I built the brand concepts, the internet brand concepts in person when she performed. I did the websites. I did merch. I did, we built this whole ecosystem around the artist, because the goal was always to create an ecosystem for the artist so that they can then move forward with that ecosystem. You know what I mean? And I come from being an artist. So my experience was there was nobody to help. You know what I mean? Like when I was trying to be an artist, I had nobody to help. There was nobody offering studio time. There was nobody offering mentorship. There was nobody offering anything. I didn't even understand branding till I was a grown man trying to build a business around it. And I was like, I wanted to be an element in that space for artists and local artists and upcoming artists, amateur artists who didn't have the information. So I would provide the business structure. I would provide the branding structure, the creative structure. I just wanted the artists to be artists. Like hold your own, but I understand, like I come from where the structure isn't there. So now you have a structure. You have somebody who's invested into the project. So if we really believed in the project, I rarely charged the people I worked with. I wasn't charging them anything for my services. I took a percentage of the projects we worked on and a percentage of the brand, because we were building it from ground zero. So it was like, we're all starting off with just ideas and vision and motivation. And music videos, music videos get expensive. So for me, if the artist could cover the venue, cover props, cover all of that, then I would do the videos and everything for free, and photo shoots, all that for free. And I would help sometimes with studio sessions and all that. So it was really just believing in, the foundation was believing in artists and being able to leverage ourselves as a brand and company for the artists to thrive, because we believed in them. And ultimately, the goal was to have an incubation program within Autumn House where artists could pitch ideas, and if we liked it, we took it on, and then we would give that whole process through. With Taylor Moore was the beginning of what that felt like. After Taylor Moore, then the many projects we did with Elijah Rhodes and Stevie Q. Soup Like Soap, man. She was somebody I worked with as well. After Taylor Moore, was like, okay, this is how we gonna build this and apply this, and Elijah Rhodes, we built this and apply this way. Then it became, okay, this is an incubation company. We have an incubation service or hub where it's like, how do we take people's ideas and turn it into something? It's like, I want to highlight all the minor details. While that conversation would be forever, but in the sense of the origins of the company and like what it was and why it was really about, for me, providing a service in a industry that was missing a bridge from the local amateur artists to the professionalism of the industry. And that's where we came in, really, as a sense of being, if we believe in you, we invest in you. I think that's what a lot of local artists, what independent amateur artists need. Yeah, man, those are the humble beginnings of Autumn House. We could go into the treachery of it a little later, but
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stay on humble beginnings myself. We can go into the church, like you said. We can go into the other side a little later. But yeah, I was in college when I first started my first business. It was VTC, Visionaries of the Culture, and that was more centered around just doing YouTube funny stuff. I wanted to do incorporate the film aspect. I eventually wanted to get into music with it, so I hit up a few artists that I listened to on campus. But then it was time to take a more serious approach with the content, and I started Gold Print Production. So I was just like, okay, let me develop this film. Let me develop a film around a production company, and that'll be the foundation of it, and we build from there. But then I was like, okay, let's get back into the music. So that's when Gold Print Entertainment was birthed, and I wanted to center it around music. The slogan and the logo, everything was built off music. That was the motto. And so, yes, I was just like, okay, let me find someone that's knowledgeable in that field. So I reached out to a guy that wanted to do A&R. And so I was just like, okay, let's find an artist. Let's find a local artist that we can build, that we can help enhance their image and their sound. Someone that's talented, someone that works hard. So we reached out to an R&B artist named Diamante. And that was more so the roots of the music side of Goldprint. And yeah, that was 2020. I was in my latter years of at USM in Hattiesburg. Yeah, like me just balancing, just being a college student and just being in the music. And so with me, I studied. Like I'm a student of the game, so I sought the knowledge, like, okay, what I need in order to do this. And we all grew together in that aspect. And so I ain't gonna lie to you.
You want to get into the shit.
You said what?
No, I said you want to get into the shit.
I mean, we're gonna dive deeper into it.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say how to keep it on that level. So yeah, it was just building the brand. It was just learning from people's mistakes, people's success, and I took that in and what I wanted to create. Because like, again, I'm a person that seeks knowledge. I'm a person that understands the art of storytelling. I'm a person that understands these things. And me being me is I want to put you in a better position. I want to help you win. So I'm going to do everything in my power and everything in my will to help you win. And we're going to grow together in this aspect. Like there was times where I gave people a percentage of my company because in that aspect, I believed in you, and we can see this company grow to a much larger level than we can ever imagine. So yeah, it was just throughout the years, it was just, I mean, it was growth. Like it was growth in every aspect and just knowledge and independent success as far as just, okay, seeing things that we never saw before. I mean, it was a lot of things involved to help us get there. And of course, there was some things along the lines that like, okay, this and that. But yeah, just keep it in Goldprint in general. It was built off the music, but there was also other layers of that. There was,
yeah.
I think I was doing podcasting at the time. I was working on a short film at the time and things like that. So there was more to it than just the music. Music was just the driving ship that, in my mind, it's going to help us get there. But there was a lot of things along the line that made me retract that statement to as far as, I don't know if this music thing is really the driving ship to get to where I want to get to. But then there was also a realization that I came to that it ain't more so about the music, but it's more so about the people. And that's ego, integrity, that's dedication, that's hard work, that's that. So when the moment I came to that realization, everything changed. The whole company changed. My mindset changed, and what I saw for myself in the future changed. And that was maybe a year ago. This time a year ago when I came to that inception, I came to that realization.
When did you start VTZ?
VTC? Visionaries of the Culture, 2018, because I almost got fired from my journalism job. And I was walking, I'll never forget it. I went there the other day as far as like the location, and I almost got fired. And so I left out the building and I started thinking. Because at that time I was studying Nipsey. This was like 2017 and 18. I was studying Nipsey, listening to his music, watching his interviews and things like that. And I was like, man, I had dreams and aspirations to be on ESPN or do some type of sports something, just sports something in sports and media and sports and journalism. And then I came to the realization that, man, I want to start my own business and doing the things that I love. And it was more so not working for someone else mentality. That's what it was for me. Like I didn't want to be able to be under someone else at that time. Like I don't have that mindset now, but at that time, that's what led me into creating that. So yeah, man, similar to your story, like I hit up a lot of my friends and guys that I seen potential in, and guys that maybe wasn't doing nothing in this field, but when I asked, they wanted to get into it. So I was just like, hey, let's meet. I think we meet at McDonald's, I think. I can't remember. I think it was McDonald's or... Yeah, I think it was McDonald's, and we just...
ain't got no Barnes and Noble out there?
No, not in that time. No, not in that time.
Damn.
But yeah, we met in McDonald's and we just I broke it down to everybody. And I was
Mm.
just like, hey, this is what we finna do. You know the funny thing? None of them around now.
None of them
Everybody
around.
was at the table.
Everybody wants to get in it. Everybody likes the idea. Everybody's with it till it's time to put in the work, man.
But I don't know, man. It's kind of, I don't know, it's weird and hard for me to talk about certain stuff and that happened in that aspect without getting into certain things.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a lot that happened that like that I think about and then I realize, damn, that happened.
Yeah.
Like I forget that it happened, but then when I talk about it, I remember and I just I feel a way about it a little bit.
What worked and what didn't work with VTC and GoPrint?
I mean, with VTC, with the first business, it was more so just restructuring. Like VTC restructured into what GoPrint is today. So it was more so that. But I can go into what did work with GoPrint. I mean, it was just opening up a world that I wanted to get into and just in exploring different relationships within that world of people that I would have never thought I would meet. So like creating a platform and talking to people with a platform and sending out music and sending out videos that people love and gravitate, that was something that I was just like, okay, that's a really good feeling. Let's lean on that and just building certain bridges that not only I still have today, but just something that it just felt good in that moment. Like just looking back on it, it felt good and just making moves, man. Like I always hear about Jay-Z and Nipsey talking about getting like doing things out the trunk and doing things like that. And we live in a different age. And our version of that is it's still doing the live shows, but it's also connecting with people on social media. So that's how I looked at it, just getting it out the trunk in that aspect and just reaching out to people, following people, comment on posts and things like that, and just doing that aspect. And that was always fun to me because we was getting our art to the world. We was getting the music out. We was getting these videos out. We was getting these things out to the world. And also we was just seeing a high level of streams that were like, okay, people are listening to this. We see the comments. Hey, I love this song. I love this. I love what you guys are doing and things like that. And and that was more so the R&B side of things because throughout the GoPrint tenure and what it is now, I work with R&B artists. I work with hip hop artists. And me first, I'm a hip hop head. That was what I grew up on. I grew up on hearing my daddy playing Master P, Ice Cube and things like that. So I grew up in there hearing my brothers play Lil Boosie and people like that. So I grew up hearing hip hop first, and then I graduated into more so the R&B side. So I wanted to dive into, let me work with an R&B artist. Let me work with a hip hop artist. And the goal was to create an ecosystem. As you alluded to earlier, the goal was to create an ecosystem to where we have this platform. We can outsource resources or we can bring people in to help us do what we need to do. But we have to lean on that. We have to build on that. And we have to like, okay, if we can't do this part, let's either find someone that can do this and bring them in or simply find a freelancer that can do it. And so, yeah, it was a lot of ups and downs in that aspect to the point where like, okay, we did this video. I'm gonna kind of get into a little bit of, that's what I said earlier. It'll be kind of like I would have a situation to where we're up, but then something in that moment will bring it down. So a lot of the situations that I'm gonna name, it was kind of in between, like, okay, we're excited about it in that moment. Once we're in it, it's feeling away or it's something involved that just make the whole thing just go away. So yeah, it was a lot of instances, like a lot of situations to where I was working with people that, okay, they had something going on inside of them that I couldn't understand. So I had to only support that. So it was situations that there were people just, okay, they felt that they should be doing this or they should be doing that, and they took a few steps back. And a lot of situations in that moment, it kind of felt like I felt the way as far as like, okay, you have this gift, you have this thing that's inside of you that can not only change the people around you, but can potentially change the world. But in order for you to do that, you have to be right within. Like you have to be right within. And so later on, I really understood where that person was coming from. It took me a minute to grasp that because I couldn't allow myself to be selfish and just push the work, because there was times where I was work. I was centered around business. I was centered around this and that because I understood what we had. I understood what type of talent that was in the circle. So I was just like, okay, let's build around that. And I looked at it like a franchise player on a team. And I was just like, okay, let's build around that. But then I came to the realization of what I was creating. I'm the franchise player.
Yeah.
So there was situations to where I was leaning on someone to be the face of what I created, be the face of what I was building, or per se be the face of Goldprint. In facts, I built this brick by brick. And like Franklin said, I'd be damned if I let another nigga tear it down. I couldn't allow myself to harp on their ideology because I will be forever a slave, or I will be forever a little puppet to you, looking up to you, waiting for you to bark, or waiting for your command. So it was something that clicked inside of me that was just like, nah, man, this business is gonna be here with or without you. No matter what type of success happens, this foundation that was built by me is going to be here. It's going to last millenniums. That's what I'm creating it to do. I'm creating timeless art that's going to last forever because that is my goal when I created this. So within that, once that clicked, everything just mentally and just actions involved just changed overall for me to the point where I had to create a backdoor in the back of my head that, okay, these people not going to be here forever. Or this one person is not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be in a situation to where when you leave, I look at what am I going to do? I'm scrambling for change, trying to get a snack or something like that. Or I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with things like that. No, I couldn't allow myself to do that. So I created that back door before there was any situation involved that could have happened in the future. So it was more so like a safety net that I created within the business and the infrastructure within the business. And so within that, it was a lot of ups. It was a lot of ups. It was a lot of things that we will celebrate to this day that we accomplished. But at the end of the day, to be honest with you, I still feel like, what did we really accomplish? What did we really accomplish within this business? Because everything that we set out, not even everything, a lot of the things that we set out to do, we didn't do. And it was two things for that reason. And of course, I have my flaws and situations that I could have communicated better on certain things. I could have spoke up on certain things. I could have pushed a little harder on certain things. I could have did this and that. I will always own up to that and what I saw my flaw was. Anybody else will have their own ideology of what went wrong, and they would have their own ideology of what went right. But it was two things of why certain situations didn't work within Goldprint. It was ego and it was integrity. And I tell myself this every day, that I built my company off integrity. I built it off integrity. And within that, you can't, and I learned this a long time ago, you can't expect certain people to abide by how you think and how you act. You can't tell someone how to react. You can't really just change someone. If they've been like this all their entire life and everybody around them telling them, hey, you this, you that, ain't nobody telling you the real, ain't nobody getting on you, ain't nobody doing this and that. Like, you're gonna feel, your ego is gonna explode. Like, not necessarily explode, it's gonna continue to grow. It's gonna continue to grow to where you're feeling entitled. And the second someone tells you that, hey, your song is not good, or this and that, you start feeling a way, or you get emotional about it and things like that. And that's where the ego comes in. And just the integrity part is just being a good person. And I can only speak on certain situations of what my interaction was with other people. I can't tell how their reaction was with their family member, their friend, their family. They're going to have a different opinion on it. I can only tell you how that person treated me, or how that person was around what I was doing. So it was just ego and integrity. And those two things would not only destroy your business, but it will destroy an empire. It will destroy your city. It can destroy your village. And those two things are one of the most like that. Like, we can go on forever about the importance of those two things. And if I had to say what went wrong within the business, it was more so centered around those two. And I actually, like, I applaud myself for being aware of that. Because it was times where I was just like, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then I came to, I don't know what clicked or what happened, but I came to a realization that, man, I can't no longer, mentally, I can't really just deal with this. And there was situations to where my anger got the best of me and it just affected things around me. So I was just like, man, I just mentally, physically, financially, I just cannot deal with this. And so I just had to take 10 steps back and just revamp the company and just what I want to do moving forward. Because that's what you see Gold Print Media today. Like, I had to take 10 steps back and just figure out, okay, what do I want to do for myself and my business, and understand you built this brick by brick. So you cannot let another man tear it down based off their lack of integrity, based off their ego. And like I said, it was situations, it was times where it was a lot of good. It was a lot of good. And we built off that. But man, it was a lot. It was also in that same breath that I just cannot get out my head of situations that could have been, because the small things matter to me, because they often lead up to bigger things. So you have to focus on that. And I ain't gonna get into too much details, but it was just situations to where, hey, I extended this arm, I extended this hand for this bridge. Like, we have this bridge. Hey, we have this. It's created. This video piece is created. This art form is created. And the only person that can stop this is you. And they do it. Like, that's crazy. That's still crazy to me to this day. That
Was it creative differences?
It was ego and integrity. it was them. It had nothing to do with creative.
It had nothing to do with the actual piece of work, of art.
Oh, because it was beautiful. It was conceptual. It was beautiful. It was something that was created. It was things, multiple things that was created that was beautiful. And again, you can't really just put that on one person. Everybody involved are at fault,
of course,
including me. So it was just those two things. And like,
what was I was going to ask you? Was that the same? I remember in the early days of VTC, or at least around the time I met you, you went through something with some people you were working with as well, or that was on the business. I know, and I haven't heard you talk about this in a long time, but what was that ego and integrity as well? It was some creators you were working with back then who turned around. I think they did like some videos about you afterwards. Eating cereal in the car or something like that.
I think that was more so, and me and him, we still cool. We cool now.
Okay.
It was that situation was more so,
it wasn't like they wanted to create something.
Yeah, it was more so trying to be someone you're not, and someone that, like, at the end of the day, I can lead you to the water, but I can't force you. I can't teach you how to drink, or I can't.
And that was something you dealt with early on in the business.
I can't hold your hand through this process. Like, I gave you the blueprint of what to do and how to do it. I can't continue to do this for you when all you need is your phone. When you got your phone in your hand, like, there's apps and things like that you can do for you to put this out. Well, I can't continue to do this and do that. And however they went on with it, that's how they went on with it. So,
and later on with the issues you dealt with moving, like in the Gold Print era, that was that became more, those were deeper rooted issues.
Yeah, because I was working with Monte on a personal level, as far as, okay,
that's what I was gonna say. It was a deeper investment.
That was more so deeper, because we was talking a lot. We was having these conversations and meetings. We was going places and things like that. So it was more so, this is the artist I'm working with. Let me put everything into this. And that was my mistake, by putting everything into this. But at the same time, if I can go back and put everything into it again, I would, because I believed in it. Like, I believed in the talent. I believed in the art. I believed in this. But once you get farther down the line, that's where entitlement, that's when ego, that's when integrity kicks in and things like that. And you see the true nature of work ethic. And once you see that, that's when you know when to move. That's when you know what your next move should be.
What would you do different that you think would change the outcome of like what went wrong in that situation?
I don't think I would do anything
just on what you could control.
Right. I don't think I would do anything different as far as that, because I know now it was more so the person instead of the business.
Got you. So it's like not a matter of compromising. It's not a matter of changing actions like I guess on the company's behalf, because the company, people don't understand it sometimes. Like if I'm functioning from a company perspective, if I'm bringing all this to the table, if we have plans and goals, it's like those things are going to get executed. Because it's the function of the business. So they in the function of the service being provided, that's going to get done. The investment on the creatives, and it's more of a personal level, but when they don't treat these relationships like business relationships, that's where a lot of you lose ego and integrity. Because never mind if you're not operating from an integral place, just on a human level, on a social level, if you're not doing that on a business level, those two things are gonna, like you said, it's always gonna tear down a empire. Another thing I want to ask you was, moving after that situation, or because of that situation, do you still invest that much into creators or different acts and people that you deal with GoPrint? At least it sounds like you blended too much of your personal investment rather than the company's investment.
Yeah, that's what it was. And me personally, I wasn't looking, like, of course we can have this business relationship that can supersede, or that can like venture off into something like, okay, we're friends or we're cool. But I wasn't looking for no best friend. I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't at all looking for no best friend in this. We have a goal that we have to reach, and we have a goal that we set at the top of each year. And my my mission is to accomplish each of those goals. And I'm going to do everything in my power to do that. And the knowledge and work ethic alone that comes with me is enough to lean on to, okay, I have Darrell in my corner. I know he's going to do everything in his power to try to help me succeed in what I'm doing. Because if I believe in you and I believe in the art, and if you agree to, okay, Darrell, let's work on this, you're going to see something you never seen before. Like I told Zevin the other day, what makes him different from any of these independent local artists or just independent artists all over that are on the similar or same mantra or scale that we on, is they ain't got me.
Yeah.
And I said that in, like, not in the I said that the most humblest way I could. And not just to toot my own horn or be this and that or be egotistical.
But you know what you bring to the table.
Right. I know what I bring to the table. And so in that instance, I know that if we set a firm foundation and we have these things jotted down or written in stone, I promise you, the talent, I just give me the 70% to 60% to 70%. I can work with that talent, but give me the work ethic. Give me the work ethic that comes with integrity. And I promise you, we can take it to a whole different level. Because that's how I look at it. Like, work ethic, I can find that. I mean, not work ethic. Excuse that. Talent, we can find that. We can find that in the pond. We can go find that somewhere. We can find someone that can sing.
Everyone's talented. We
can find someone that can craft a song together. But out of those 20 people, let me pick you out of the lineup and let's see when it's time to go to war. Let's see if you battle tested. Let's see if you can stand firm on this ground, and let's see if you can go to war by the shit that you talking and the shit that you putting out. Let's see if you ready for that. And when it came throughout what I've done and throughout the people I've worked with. And when it was time to go to war, niggas wasn't ready. Niggas wasn't battle tested. Not even battle tested. Niggas wasn't battle ready. Because when it was time to go to war, you retreated. You retreat. And that goes more so ego, consistent work ethic, integrity. That goes more so in there. I don't care about Goliath. I don't care about how strong you are. I don't care about how skilled you are. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. That's just a small percentage of what we're doing. That's just a small fraction of this business.
If we can't execute, it don't even matter.
It don't matter at all. It don't matter.
It don't matter how talented you are. It don't matter how, if you can't execute on the idea, then it don't even matter. You'll be the nicest dude in your bedroom. You know what I mean? You'd be the nicest dude that nobody ever heard of. You'd be the greatest talent that no one ever saw. You know, so it comes a lot with that execution process. And I mean, I've experienced it myself where it's like, it's just a lack of that.
I mean, end of the day, that's what it was. When it's time to go to war, we really gonna see who battle ready. And throughout that, however that war happens, we gonna live and die by what we putting out. And at the end of the day, the game is the game. And whatever we put out, whatever situation that we do, we're going to live and die by that. And that's what separates like the will to not give up and the wills to just simply just keep going and be consistent at it. Like that's gonna separate you from everybody else that's doing this. Like it can be someone that's doing music, doing film, doing something creative, or just venturing off into something that requires you to be consistent and you can work, like you can be successful in it. Because we don't see the end of the rainbow. We don't see it. If we saw what's at the end of the rainbow, we'll move different. If we seen
You
success
move different.
down this
Yeah.
road, we will move different. But I promise you, it's some people that can see the success down the road. All they gotta do is go straight. They can see the success down there and they'll still go left. They can have someone that is someone that is invested in them and doing everything in their power to see them successful, and they will still fuck them over, or they will still find something that would alter the relationship or things like that. They will still find that.
Some people
And at the end of the day, when we
with
doing
success.
this, we going to war with this. Not like physically fighting or killing or things like that, but mentally we going to war when we doing
mentally and physically, because physically you out there. You're like, you know,
I mean,
it takes a lot of physical action to make some of these things happen.
Oh yeah, definitely that.
I agree with you. I agree with you, man. It's so out of all of that, what did work?
What you see today? What you see today is what worked. And what I mean by that is what happened in that moment and what was being crafted is created the mindset that you see today and what you see the company moving forward to be. Because again, I had to take 10 steps back and just realize like what do I really truly want to do with this business? Am I gonna quit? Nah, that's never been an option. So like, what do I want to do with that? So as far as the details of what worked and like just that, I mean, at the same time, just understanding the knowledge, because I can't sit here and tell you we sold 1 million records, we sold this and that, we got success on this, because at the end of the day, like we still in this position. Yeah. So nothing technically worked. It was just a lot of lessons learned throughout the process. So that's how I can put it. And my camera just died.
I'm gonna read something real quick. This was something I wrote for some verse I did, but it talks about I talk about kind of some of the experiences. I wanted to read it because some things you said I kind of spoke about in this, but we are not the ops. We just opposite. Looking for a pot to piss in. I've been cooking in the kitchen. I've been booked and being busy. You just look and think it's easy. I swear it isn't that hard. Envision what you want, then break your back for it. You lazy, baby. Ain't it crazy? You just want to ask for it. While I work my ass for it. Still they act like I ain't shit. Noah's ark afloat in awe and still they sink the shit. With Moses' arm, I wrote these psalms and split the scene quick. After all that shit we did it matter, dog? Did the shortcuts get you there faster, dog? We are not ops. We just opposite. That's very important for me from all of that, right? Aside from the after all the shit we did it matter, dog? The shortcuts get you there faster, dog, right? What didn't work for me was I did a lot of what you did. I invested a lot. For me, I was personally and emotionally involved from day one because the people around me were my friends, were people I considered damn near family. I had known the people around me for 10 years plus already. I was always somebody when I heard that cliche, don't mix friends and business. I always looked at that like, oh, that won't be me. I'm not going to succumb to that. I thought I could beat the odds with that. And what I learned, one of the biggest lessons I learned with Autumn House Entertainment was that, and I apply this for a lot of things in my life, you can't involve people who aren't ready to take on the responsibilities that come with these roles. You know what I mean? So I did the same as you. Like I gathered all the people I could think of, all my friends I knew could be involved, and I saw the talent in them. That's the thing. You see the potential in people. You see a potential based on the lens that you're looking at those people from, So when I involved those people, it's funny, one person who I eventually worked with didn't want to get involved at first, right? And then the other person who got involved with me right off the jump, I feel like he took on something that he wasn't really ready for and didn't. I think it was more ego to be a part of something, and maybe not, because he pulled his weight at times, but then at times he didn't pull his weight. My mistake was believing that people wanted it as much as I did. You know what I mean? So when you're dumping all this into this business and this like I was the same. I went through the same phase that you went through, and the same realization of like I'm bringing all this to the I'm building it. It's me. It's like those people assist. They're only adding to what I'm already building. If I remove myself, they aren't building on their own. And I should have looked at that from the beginning. But I believe sometimes it takes somebody to spark the inspiration. And I thought that was my role in it, as far for the work I was doing. And I expected people to put in as much work as I was putting in. And that just wasn't what it was. Nor do I think people looked at it the same way. When you're dealing with creativity, when you're dealing with talent, with ego, with personality, jealousy, all of that comes into play. I didn't think that would exist amongst friends. You know what I mean? Amongst family. And when people are so talented and all that, you think it could work because everybody believes in each other. But the reality in my situation, everybody didn't believe. I think people fronted as a team, but they were really doing for themselves. A big thing for me was I dealt with an artist who I didn't charge anything. This is a main thing of what didn't work and why it didn't work, right? I dealt with first off, it was the element of friendship, right? Because of that, and because I believed in the person as well, I invested a lot into it. And I invested my personal connection to the person. So it was like, yo, this is a friend of mine for years, and he's super talented. Let me help him get to the next level. I believe in him that much, right? My perception of what he was doing was working hard before I came in. And then when I came into it, I just always outworked the situation. I think I'm always going to be like that when I'm like passionate about something. But the friendship aspect made me kind of look over all those things that were wrong, that I saw red flags from the beginning. And it comes in a simple form, in a simple way. I can't care more and work harder for your career than you do. That's just never going to work out. I shouldn't be in control of every little detail and aspect of your career. I can't do everything. Especially even more so when I'm not being paid, when really myself and the company is what's putting up more of the leverage. You know what I mean? Like there's more at risk for us when you just as talent have to show up in a way, you know. And I found myself in that situation a lot with this particular artist. It was just laziness, honestly, and ego that didn't even really, shouldn't have even been there, because we weren't meeting goals. We weren't, you know, like I had all these conversations with everybody who I worked with. I handed out worksheets of like, write down goals, write down what are these things that you want to work towards, and those people never turned them back in. So it's never no identifying what are we working toward. It's just kind of, oh, let me show up and we have a session, let's show up, let's do this. And that's cool when we're cutting records, right? If we're cutting records, that works. But what do you do with the music afterwards? You know, how do you build? What's the brand building? What's all of this? That's a lot. It's a lot of work. If you don't have a vision for your own career, how can my vision for my career, my business, take on the identity of your career? Like that's what's going to happen, because it's going to be, oh, I'm doing all this work and building all these things, and it's just what you're doing is just attached to what I'm doing. And when I'm not doing it, you're not doing it. To make it short and sweet about what didn't work in Autumn House is me working more for people's careers than they are working for their own. I don't even have to get into the personal details of it all. Of course, there's clashing of egos. Of course, there's a lot of that. It's a lack of appreciation for what actually goes into something. I don't believe some of the people I was working with understood what all went into creating everything we were creating. You know, because they're only seeing it from one perspective. They weren't looking at the totality of everything, or, you know, they weren't seeing the long nights. They weren't seeing having to learn all these things. They weren't seeing all of that. They're not seeing the networking. They're not doing all of that. And the involvement on their end is going to always come through, because how far they get in their career is going to be a reflection of their work ethic, you know, and not a reflection of their talent. And yeah, man, it's sad. It's sad. A lot of ruined relationships over nonsense. And another thing is money. Finances is a devil, man, when it's not handled properly. Something else that didn't work, which I could take, and I take accountability for my end on everything. I didn't always communicate the stress of finances in the company. So even though I would cover the things I would cover, I was covering things that they didn't even know, because as the person who's running the business, who's operating, who's at the wheel, you do what you have to take care of whatever got to get taken care of so that the goal gets executed. I was just taking care of things, and the financial stress was growing on me. And then on the other end, it's like those guys were like complaining about finances and saying that he was spending too much money. And it was like, you're spending a fraction of what you would be spending if you weren't getting all these free services. And I don't think they really understand that, I was 10 grand in the red before I brought anybody into the company, just off of equipment. People don't see that, so they take it for granted. They take for granted the time and everything that goes into crafting things, and that sucks. What worked with the company, Autumn House has evolved, and it's at a point now where I'm focused less on music because we've built another ship for music specifically, where Autumn House now is focused more on multimedia in the sense of podcasting, of visuals, of books, and other different things that I want to create moving forward. And I want to keep it that way just because dealing with music and musicians and artists and all that, it requires a lot that I can't commit to if I want to be doing all these other things. Because like you, I want music because I love music. I wanted to make it the forefront. But the reality is, it's especially where the music industry specifically is today, it takes a lot of other things to make music work.
Right.
I'd rather do everything music related at the studio with Biko and be free and be able to craft and do artist development, do everything through that system, and then and take what other things need to be created as far as media goes around that through Autumn House. And aside from short films and everything else, that's where that's where Autumn House is today. What worked is the process worked, the system worked, the building content around these things, all that worked because when it was being pumped out, it was working. The efficiency, everything, the idea of having in-house creatives, in-house talent, in-house resources, all that works. To this day, it works. The industry today is built off of that. Everything leans on the independent creative today. So if you have all those elements, it works. So that worked. The understanding of communication with artists worked. All these things, I was doing. Like I said, I was giving out worksheets of what is your fan base? What's the fan base you want to build? What are the characteristics of fan base? I was asking artists and creatives, what is the career that you want? All those things work because they help you identify what you're building. And when you can do that, you can then continue to build. It didn't work with one artist. It don't mean it's not going to work with another artist. It just requires the participation of that other artist. And it requires letting go of ego. It requires high integrity. It requires being involved with the process of what you're building, and artists, creators, business people, whoever is listening, in the sense you can't build a successful career if you have yet to identify what that career looks like, because then you're just kind of shooting in the dark and hoping something lands. And it just doesn't work for a sure thing. You know what I mean? And nothing can be a sure thing, but you can have a higher odds and a high percentage of success if you do these things, if you identify what you want to work towards, and then you work towards it. If you have goals, if you have all of those things. What didn't work with that artist was that we didn't have that. We didn't have an identity of what we were doing. I more so was creating an identity for that person. Once I removed myself, the identity crumbled. And then nothing comes from that, As far as business relationships, what didn't work in that was a lack of communication. You should always communicate the things that you want and the things that need to happen in the business. You got to be able to remove personal interest in things and look at things from a logistic standpoint, because businesses run off logistics. The personal involvement, it can work on a sensible level, but on a as far as like building culture and all that. But when it comes to how the business functions and what needs to happen, that is 90-10 logistics. And that has to be something that's clearly communicated between business partners on what's going to work, what's not going to work. And you have to do your part. You have to be able to know if your role is CEO, CFO, if your role is finance manager, if your role is A&R, if your role is that, you have to know everything that entails with that role. And you got to hold each other accountable. Those things work. They're proven in the most successful businesses that everybody plays their role, their position, and you're not flooded out by fame or the limelight or how many likes you're getting. The artist had an issue with was focused a lot on his perception online and not on the actual footwork and the reality of what was going on. People might like your stuff online. That doesn't translate into sales. That doesn't translate into movement. That doesn't translate into an actual fan base, into an actual career. If you're not a hard ticket artist, does it matter how many people like your post? If you can't sell a ticket for $5 and those people come out to see you, you're not causing any dent in anything. If people don't show up, it doesn't matter. Online presence is not that's not a career in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. I mean, so those are things that didn't work. The journey works, man. When you build it, when you stay committed, when you're honest, when you're genuine, when you have integrity, when you can remove ego, it works. It's hard work. And we don't get here without it. So it's like, I'm speaking from a place where I started as an artist. I transitioned into business. I invested in artists. I invested in people. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. It didn't stop me. Like you said, quitting was never an option. You know what I did after that? I put out a book. You know what I mean? What I did after that, I did my Becoming Dad podcast that I started. Then when I took a break and I'm coming back now, putting out my own music as just an artist, and now building this brand and this podcast with you. So it's like the road has always been what it was. It just shifts sometimes. And I forgot to mention, we opened the studio in Brooklyn. We got other relationships and a whole other network now. So it never stops. You might shift and you have to pivot and you have to remove the things that weren't working and try new things out. But that consistency that you see in how I move with my businesses and my things, the consistency we can see when we look at you and Go Print and the evolution of things, that's if nothing else showing you what works. You know what I mean? People, I think, associate fame to success, and that's not always the case, because there's a lot of famous, unsuccessful people. Fame isn't the catalyst of success. Success is being able to execute these ideas. Even with the failures we've encountered, we still have a high success rate because we haven't quit. Because we have a new product, we have a new brand, we have new ideas that we're executing on and being consistent with. So this is what works. The journey is not an overnight journey. It never has been, and it never will be. You have to be able to put in that work. I know you're big on creating experience and turning like records into moments.
With me personally, when I'm building something, when I'm doing something, I'm excited. And that the excitement, my most exciting moment is the building process. That's why my film is called The Foundation. So that is when I'm putting everything I have into this art, is when I'm building it. And so when I'm doing just that, it's never, well, oftentimes it could be that, but if I'm creating something, it's always going to be something that leads to something bigger. So if me and Zevin putting out the Graces record, that's not just going to be, we're putting out that record. We're not going to touch it. It's not going to be something after. It's always going to be something after that's connected. So I'm a big fan of Marvel. I'm a big fan of DC, and I'm a big fan of the cinematic universes that they created, to the point where everything is connected. So I kind of model my business and model my creativity around the Avengers approach, the Marvel approach, the DC comic approach, and things like that. And so when I'm creating a piece of art or a film or music, things like that, when I'm creating the Graces record with Zevin, when we're doing the gospel record, when we're doing things that we have coming out soon, it's always a bigger picture within that. So if I'm doing a record, if I'm doing a film, the film is connected to the music that we're creating. So it's going to be pieces of content that's going to not only excite those that are invested, but excite us as well, to where, okay, we're going to give you maybe an interview. We're maybe going to give you a detailed interview. We're going to give you behind the scenes. We're going to give you a video. We're going to give you some type of film aspect within this and create a cinematic approach by doing that. So that was my whole thing with the foundation kind of like montage. It was going to be this film at the top. And under that, you have the album. Under that, you have the EP. Under that, you have records, videos, detailed interviews, merch, some type of capsule involved that we're going to give to the world. And it's just, the marketing is that's a part of the art. The marketing side is a part of the cinematic experience, because we want to create something that's going to be timeless. We like, I'm not in a position to go backwards. I believe that art telling is our greatest form of anything, is the story, like just storytelling in general. That is our greatest art form. Like, I truly believe that. And so I want to be able to tell stories through these records. I want to be able to tell the story of triumphant, the story of redemption, the story of faith, the story of someone finding themselves, because that's essentially what the record Grace is about. That's essentially what the record the gospel is about. That's essentially what the album and the film is about. Somewhere finding themselves. So we're going to give you Graces first, and we're going to take you through a journey throughout this. And if you truly, truly pay attention to what's going on, you will see that journey. Like, of course, we will give you Easter eggs, we will give you this and that, and just things like that. And even similar to this art piece right here, it was essentially two hands. It was essentially two hands, and a lot of the things that I alluded to early on the pod, and I let my anger get the best of me with the situation, and when that conversation ended, the statue was broke. That's why certain things I will never forget. And so when I looked at it, I didn't look at it as a broken piece that I'm going to throw away. I'm going to look at it as a sense of new beginnings. I'm going to look at it as a sense of not whole anymore, or just a rebuilding process that has to be molded. So that's essentially and what we can get on. We can get with the next installment that we're releasing with Black Gold. Like, that is what we've released in the past, all coming together with also maybe 2 or 3 new records or things like that. But we also want to give you something we also want to give you something visually, because I'm a filmmaker. Like, that's telling a story is something that I feel is my calling, something that is my purpose. Like, not only just putting people in better position, but just telling certain stories that not only just give people motivation, but inspire people, just something that they can just harp on, or not necessarily harp on, but just something that they can just live with forever. Because again, like I can harp on, like I can just talk about this. I'm not in a position of going backwards. So if I release something, the next thing is going to be bigger. The next thing is going to be better quality. And when I mean by better quality, I mean the storytelling aspect of it, not necessarily the image quality or the 4K or something like that. When I mention quality, I mean the effort you put into it. Like, we talk about quality over quantity all the time. And for me personally, it's the effort that you put into it. And again, there's two sides to me. There's one side that say, I understand. I was in that same position, and a part of me is an evolved form of that. And I understand that, okay, they don't have the knowledge to do this, or they are at a point to where I was. But then there's that, I ain't gonna say a demon side, but there's a bad, like some on my left shoulder that just look at certain situations and like
the Dame Dash.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. There's the dang dad side of me that look at certain things. I'm like, not only I knew you could have did better, but the words that you speaking and the things that you're putting out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or to the world is not adding up. The things that you're putting out or not, is the words is not adding up. It's not balanced. It's not balanced. So there's a side of me that was just like, man, there's been times where I told people publicly that their music was ass.
Yeah.
To this day, I still stand by that 10,000. And it ain't changed to this day. So when I stood by that, I promise you I wasn't the only person that thought that. That was just me leaping on. That was just me taking a leap of, okay, I'm going to tell it how it is, but also like, if I say it, I stand on it. If I say it, I meant it to this day. And there's no changing or going back or things like that. So I encourage people to seek the knowledge. Like, seek the knowledge. If you want to get into video, if you want to get into music, if you want to get into most of these things that you can do, most of these things that you want to do can be learned through YouTube. And a lot of the times, if you can't necessarily get a certain product, and if you have a certain, like, you have a phone, like a modern phone or like a new age phone or things like that, you can do a lot of these things. And that's just the technical side of stuff. In general, it's seeking the knowledge. Like, if you take the time to plan, if you take the time to get a whiteboard, if you take the time to write things down in a detailed way and just lock yourself away and just create and just learn and seek the knowledge. And I promise you, you will come out that cage, you will come out that house a better person, because then you will be able to get inspiration when you go outside. You'll be able to get influence and just take bits, like do what I do, just take bits and pieces of your favorite creators, your favorite artists, your favorite filmmakers, and mold that into what you want to do. Not necessarily create their exact model, but just take a piece of that and create
There's a great book on that called Steal Like an Artist.
Right. It's like, I always say, like a lot of people say great artists, like good artists steal. Great steal? Great artists borrow, good artists steal.
It's still, yeah.
And great artists borrow some shit.
There's a book on that whole psychology, Steal Like an Artist, creatives, people, and it's a great book for anybody to read, but it touches on that exact same thing.
Because like, I'm in the field of, I'm more so an artist helper now. So if I see an artist that lack certain things, I want to be able to, let's work on this. Where can I put myself in this position to where we can succeed by doing this? Like, and again, And like when I say creating moments around the music, creating moments around what you're doing, it's like we people often have the ideology or the mindset that I'm gonna drop this and I'm never gonna promote it again. I'm gonna just leave it there. And you treating it how Robert Baratheon treated his bastard child in Game of Thrones. Like that's how you treat it. You just cast it to the side. Like, I created you, but I'm gonna send you down to create swords and armory, and I ain't gonna never speak to you ever in life. So like that's how people treat the music. That's how people treat these pieces of art form that they're creating. And I just look at it and I'm just like, man, this was good, but build around it. I promise you, like you can do Chat GBT, you can do Google, you can look up these things that you can create one song, and around that song, you can create 10 different forms of content, from lyric videos, music videos, sit down interviews.
Zaki, my brother and very talented creative artist, Zaki L. He has he called that process stepping on the coke. Stretching the coke out. Yeah, that's what we used to when we were building our first company, Sofa. We had that was a philosophy in our camp, and it was stepping on the coke, and it was how do we cut this product up? You know, how do we make this product stretch? So if we got one song, we have a record. What do? Okay, we do a photo shoot associated with that record. We do a video associated with that record.
Behind the scenes.
We do behind the scenes. We do an interview. We do different content. We create a product that we could attach to that record. We had this whole process, and then we had like this thing where we the first week is we did a photo shoot. We take 7 of those photos each day. For that first week, we releasing a photo. We did the video. Okay, each day leading up to the release of the video would drop behind the scenes or photos from the video shoot. It was like this. It was such a great process, and I took that was before Autumn House. I took that same process. That's how I developed my formula for Autumn House and creating content around artists. It came from, I used the same philosophy. I called it the same thing, stretching the coke. Just like when you say, that's why you say build an experience. To me, that's stretching the coke out. So you figure out, you create all these different things. I like how you put it, because you have a way of intertwining everything together where it becomes like a living, breathing thing, you know, where it's like all these things are existing at the same time. And even all those other things that you're creating around that one thing can have things created around them. You know what I mean? And it becomes like this whole entire like universe, like you say, of not just products and ideas, but of art pieces and things that people can appreciate and take in. And that's why it's sad when you work with people who don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when I'm doing when I'm creating these products and things like that, it's often more so attached to a certain creator or things like that. And that's why I partner with Zevin for this album process to create a joint album. And so the talent that he possesses and things like that is just unworldly to me, to a point where I was just like, man, the way I see TDE Punch, the way I see Knife Wonder, the way I see these people talk about Kendrick, and the way I see Guru and people like that talk about Jay, like, man, that's how I talk about people. That's how I talk about you to other people. And I was just like, man, what we're creating and what we have can potentially change lives, and it can change the world, but we have to be right within. We have to change ourselves and do that. And so, like he understands the concept and everything that we're creating. And far as this album process, I've been working on this for like 3 to 4 years. This film, like 3 years. And it's just, I had to take some steps. I had to take so many steps back, but it was needed. It was needed. I didn't like, if I look back and if I started filming on this certain day, it wouldn't be right. Of course, in film, you have the ability to do reshoot. So that was always an option too. And so, like he understands the concept of what we're creating and what we're doing. And so what we have coming next, it's all gonna make sense in what we're doing. Cause so far we've only released 2 records, Gracious and Gospel, with a video coming soon and another project coming after that. And so everything is like, once you start in the universe, you can see I put out Iron Man, I put out Captain America, I put out Thor. But then the next few films, it kind of starts to make sense. We give you something at the end that kind of intertwines everything. When it's time, we give you the Avengers. So when it's time, we give you the album. So that's how I look at that. And that's what I took inspiration from.
Industry tip of the week: build a strong network. Cultivate relationships with industry professionals, including producers, managers, promoters, and fellow artists. Networking can open doors to opportunities and collaborations. Develop a unique brand. Establish a distinct identity that sets you apart from others. This includes your visual style, music genre, and personal story, which helps you connect with your audience. Understand music licensing and royalties. Learn about the different types of music licenses and how royalties work. This knowledge can help you maximize your income from various streams, such as streaming services, radio, and TV placements. Invest in quality production. High quality recordings and productions are crucial for standing out. Invest in good equipment, work with experienced producers, and ensure your music is professionally mixed and mastered. Diversify your income streams. Relying solely on album sales is not sustainable. Explore various revenue sources such as merchandise, live performances, sync deals, crowdfunding, and use platforms like Patreon is what I'm saying. Basically, protect your rights and work. Ensure your music is legally protected by registering your works with the appropriate organizations, such as the Copyright Office and performance rights organizations. Understand contracts and seek legal advice when necessary. And final, develop a solid business plan. Treat your music career like a business. Create a detailed plan outlining your goals, target audience, marketing strategies, budget, and revenue projections. Regularly review and adjust your plan as needed. Guys, I'm not going to get too deep into all of that because I feel like we touched on every single one of those things in this podcast. And if you were looking for what worked and what didn't work, those things work. I've seen them work in my own experience. I'm sure, Darrell, you've seen them work in your experience. Absolutely. If you want to touch on them, you can touch on them.
I think we touched on majority of it. Yeah. I mean, the details is understanding music licensing and royalties. Like that's something. That's something. I think we need a separate pod on that. Yeah, but again, that's something that you got to physically go seek the knowledge on. A lot of this is just going to seek the knowledge. Just sometimes I wish we can go back to the days where we had to go to the library to go find this and that. Like so. Yeah. Just go see
it made you work for it.
Right. It's free. Go do it.
Yeah.
I promise you. Enhance
Sounds of word. Sounds of the week. Vince Staples' Dark Times album.
Yes, indeed.
Go listen to that.
Yes, indeed. We ain't really got to discuss too much on it. It's amazing. Yeah. My stance, it's amazing body of work. I remember hearing, I think it's 745 on Big Fish Theory, long time ago by Vince, and I was like, man, who is this? And I knew he was on the Black Panther soundtrack, the first one. But this album, man, it was a very well thought out album that you can tell that you can see the evolution and what he's talking about and where he's coming from and things like that. So it's a lot of songs that I highlight, from Little Homies to, I think this Etouffee and Radio. Those three records are my biggest highlights of that project. And like the Rhapsody album, it's a very detailed, put together album. That's amazing body of work, and early candidate for album of the year for hip hop for me so far. Dead and Rhapsody. Yeah, my highlights for this album. My favorite song is Shame on the Devil. I love that record. Shame on the Devil and Black and Blue were the two highlights. The album itself is amazing, but though I really enjoy those records. Those are the records I go back to all the time, just because maybe when I was listening to it, I was in my introspective bag, and I love Vince Staples when he's in that introspective bag. This whole album has that feel to it with a little, and you could bop to it. He know how to add the groove, that West Coast groove to it, which I'm a huge fan of. But Shame of the Devil. Yeah, some New Orleans bounce in there too. He do his thing, man. He know what he doing, man. People who he don't put out music as consistently as I would like him to, but that what he does is always top quality, and he kills it. Plus he just got renewed for a second season for his show on Netflix. So hopefully it'll be more episodes, but the episode they gave was pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, just go support Vince Staples, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's about it, man. I think this was a solid pod. Way longer than last week's pod. Oh yeah, man. I could have, the topic that I was discussing, I could have went on a tangent. Yeah. This has been another episode of I Hate This Industry. Follow us, click the links, man. Subscribe. Hell, tune in. Peace. Absolutely. See y'all next time. We out.